Hello and welcome back to the Airshare Lounge podcast. This is the 8th episode I think we're on now. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the entire plethora of RAF stuff that's been announced in the recent weeks, what air shows they're going to, some cool catches from air shows as well, and obviously discuss all the RIAT stuff that we've missed since though it's been 3 weeks and we've been slacking very slightly. My name is Dan and joining me today is...
Matt.
And it's another lonely one today. It's just me and Matt. Jack's been binned off now. No, I'm joking. So we might as well get right into it. And we were discussing what order we were going to do this before the podcast actually started. And we decided that RIAT is the way to go first and then link into the absolute massive discussion point, which is the RAF asset. Which, since the last episode, it's been 3 weeks. So we've had all the RAF stuff announced, which we'll talk about in a bit. But we've had the Midnight Hawks display team from Finland. We've had the Danish F-16 also for the flying display. We've also had a Turbo Firecat, which is a rare as hell catch on static. And then a few other things like the kinetic research aircraft that they sent an absolute plethora of aircraft. Like, we're getting so many. I mean, it's been so far so good.
I think it's been a good, solid couple of updates, really, from RIAT in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, it hasn't been anything maybe hugely standout, but I mean, the Danish F-16, we all thought that was done and finished last year. It seems they're not going to have the nice Danish flag scheme this year, but hey, a flying F-16 in the display is more than welcome.
Absolutely. I think, yes, it's a shame that we didn't get to see it fly too much last year because of the technical issues, but they're back. We have an F-16 flying. We can't argue with that. We don't know who else is going to be flying at this point. You know, we can all speculate that there's other F-16 demos, but are we going to get them? Do we know? We don't know at the moment. So it's nice to see that we have got that. And we're getting their lovely two-seater as well in static, which is always nice. I do like their two-seater.
I think, I'll go a bit off topic slightly, but I think two-seater fighter jets, sometimes they just look a bit cooler sometimes. I know I'm a huge fan of the two-seat Typhoons, and the F-16s are cool in a twin-seat version. I think it's a bit different. You know, you get so used to seeing single-seat versions here than everywhere. So they're sending something a little bit different from the normal for the static.
Absolutely. The only one that I disagree with being a cool-looking aircraft as a two-seater is the Harrier, because that thing looks weird, especially from last year, being able to see one pretty up close with the Italian one. That two-seater looks weird and I don't like it. I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but the two-seater Harrier is a no-go for me. The one-seater is fine. The one-seater looks sexy, but the two-seater I do not like.
No, I agree on that one. It looks a bit weird, but it's still a Harrier, so it wins on the cool front anyway.
Yeah. I think also with RIAT, we've got an unofficial sort of anniversary that's not a theme there, but with the British Aerospace Hawk is on its 50 years, I believe. So we've got the Midnight Hawks coming, as well as, we'll talk about in a bit, the Red Arrows, and the rumoured Saudi Hawks. I think that's all but one Hawk flying display team left, I think, but coming to the show.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't
There's
remember.
one more down in Asia, I think.
I don't know. I'll have to have a quick Google that in the background. And
yeah, I'll have a look.
I can't remember if I've seen the Midnight Hawks. I know I've definitely seen the Finnish solo display with the Hawk, which is really quite good. So I think if it's anything like that, but with 4 of them all together, it'd be something really cool. Just, I mean, the picture on the headline, on the header picture on the RIAT website with them all with smoke winders looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that is one of the cool things. They use, you know, smoke winders rather than the traditional actually into the exhaust, which is different to obviously the Saudi Hawks, the Red Arrows. And also the operators are 4-ship now. So it's a very different display, I think, that you'll get from what can be a very similar display between the Saudi Hawks and the Red Arrows. Hopefully this year they're completely different and we're going to get 3 different teams. But I think it opens up an opportunity for an unofficial anniversary fly pass, maybe, if we do get all 3 display teams. Obviously, the Saudi Hawks are not official yet. We do stress that until they've been announced by RIAT. It's just rumours. But if we were to get all 3, would a fly pass with all 3 teams be a nice little tribute to the Hawk?
I mean, a fly past, I think, isn't out of the question. There's the 60th anniversary this year, the Red Arrows, and they've already been seen and photographs published by the RAF for. They did a photo shoot with one of the old Nats, so hopefully that could be a nice little fly past for RIAT. I think to have a Red Arrows in formation with at least one of the Nats would be quite a nice little touch. But yeah, I think even just a couple of jets from each of the display teams together, the Hawks would be something a bit different. Maybe not all of them. It might be a bit too much. But hey, never say never.
I think it reminds me of the back in 2019 when the Patrouille de France and the Red Arrows both did a fly past together in their Concorde formation because it was some anniversary of the Concorde. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but yeah, they did a fly pass together in that formation. They did two passes, so I guess it's not impossible. It's not.
And think about last year. Was it last year? Year before last, when the Korean Black Eagles were in the UK, they did a fly past with the Reds as well. So yeah,
I think it could be possible, especially if you sort of had the Red Arrows with the finish sort of in the slot position of the Red Arrows battle, and then having the Saudi Hawks behind it. I think that's probably the way you could do it, or maybe do the Red Arrows and the Saudi Hawks, then the finish. I don't know, but I mean, I think it's possible. I think it'll be a nice opportunity to see, quite a few Hawk display teams. I have done some research, and I have found that I believe. I don't know if the team is still active, but the Indian formation aerobatic team do also use the Hawk. I have just been doing a reading in the background. I thought there was another team that used it. So there you go. There's a added in, but I have a feeling we probably won't see them as much as it'd be cool. But yeah.
I think just looking down the list, looking at the whole host of things that Kinetic have announced, it seems to be sending most of their fleet. I think one of the real catches from their things that they've announced as coming is the RJ100.
Yes. The RJ100 is always cool. I'm hoping they're going to have it with that weird nose cone on this year. That weird pointy one. So I think it was approved for flight or recently at some point. I don't know. I might be quoting something completely rubbish. But I mean, they always come in some nice color schemes. And also, a RIAT, I think, first for Kinetic is the King Air, which is newly theirs, which currently is in a grey scheme, but RIAT have said it will be in their nice white, red, and blue colours by the time RIAT comes around. So a whole plethora of aircraft from them, and going again to one of the themes at RIAT, which is the pushing boundaries in air and space and stuff. So, yeah, a brilliant catch of just stuff. I mean, when it was announced, I was like, whoa, okay, just send everything then, why don't you? But yeah, it's great. I think also on static, going to be one of the highlights of the static. We talked about F5s in the previous podcast when Jack was on. The Turbo Firecat.
This is really rare, I think. I think I've only really seen a couple of pictures of this coming out of a Northolt night shoot quite a few years back now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really been seen in the UK or even really in Europe that much, I don't think, recently. So it's a stunning looking aircraft, really.
And yes, it's been kept in the French firefighting livery that it is, which is a nice red and white scheme with a big black panther on the front. It's really cool. I think it is if I remember, it's ex-US Navy. Then the French bought them off the US Navy to be for firefighting aircraft. It is recently retired and has been restored by an aviation company that I'm not going to pronounce because I'm probably going to butcher the name.
A3A.
Yeah,
what they call themselves.
A3A, but there's a long section of that name that I'm just going to not attempt to pronounce because I do not want to offend anyone. But again, adding on top of F5s, we've got another cool catch that's I definitely haven't seen one. I know people have been speaking. When was the last time we had something like this on static? And people were going way back into the 90s potentially for something like this. So again, RIAT are pulling out some stops this year and really making the static park. It's going to be a real push to get around everything this year. I mean, I normally get around it in a day, which is a rush, but They're pushing me here. I don't think I'll be able to do it.
I was going to say I tend to do one half of the static display in the morning before the flying display starts, and then I'll have a little wander around my immediate sort of area. I'll set my base up around lunchtime while I'm finding food, and then on the way out after the display, I'll try and catch the rest of it. But you still miss things. There's no way you can properly do the whole static display in one day. Really, I think it'd be a case of looking down the list nearer the time and working out which ones are going to be the must sees and making them the priorities. I think, and that Firecat's definitely going to be on my sort of must see list.
Definitely, I think a must see this year is going to be what we were teased in this latest update from RIAT, the Viper line. Oh, they got me excited. That got the fingers tingling. It's again, we now only have one static F-16. I know it's premature to go, oh, this is going to be exciting, because it could end up just being a single F-16, which is not really much of a line. But there's talk about different F-16s, different operators. I mean, look, if we go down the ongoing list of operators, if I very quickly hop on to where I keep it all. Ongoing list of operators, we have Belgium are ongoing, Netherlands are ongoing, Poland are ongoing, USA are ongoing, and Jordan are ongoing. All operators of the F-16. I think we've got, ones that are not there yet, that hopefully we are talking to, are like Turkey, Greece, Portugal sent 2 to Belgian Air Force days last year, so there's no reason why we might get 2 F-16s from them. Romanian F-16s, which are pretty new. Romania have supported the air show quite well before, when the MiG-29s were going out of not MiG-29s, MiG-21, sorry, were going out of service. They brought one and did a demo. That
I mean,
could,
Bahrain have just received 2 new ones, I think, haven't they?
have
So
they?
yeah, I think they've just had their first. I don't know if it's their first 2 or they've definitely had 2 new ones just delivered. So maybe that'd be quite nice to get
Some
a
shiny
new
ones.
old jet.
Shiny ones, yeah.
I
No,
think,
what?
as I say, I think their website seems on the latest update bit seems to hint at hopefully quite a few. They're using words like the long line of jets and
Yeah,
things like that. So
it's like, what do you class as a long line? This is the thing. What? To me, right? To me, for this year to be successful as an F-16 anniversary, we have to compare it to when they've done things like the C-130 anniversaries in the past and stuff, where you literally have a massive line of aircraft. Now, with operational commitments, aircraft being retired, it's really a push at this point to have an amazing anniversary. If the anniversary had come 3 years ago, I'd be saying, yeah, you got to be pushing for absolute loads, with the likes of big operators like Belgium potentially not bringing, Dream Viper because it's not here. What is that going to entail? Are they going to have enough pilots to bring over aircraft? Are we just going to get maybe one from them? I think for me, as a personal preference, for this to be classed as a successful theme, it's got to have 10 in the static line and 2 flying. For it to be like, oh my god, they've smashed it out the park, minimum 3 flying and like 1 rare one. So like Solar Turkey we haven't had in a while, or maybe a flying display from the Middle East, one of the Middle Eastern countries, maybe Jordan bring a flying jet, or UAE bring a flying jet maybe, and 20 aircraft in the static lineup. If which is an insane number, by the way, which is truly insane if that's the case, but
it's not out the question.
it's
I
not,
mean,
no. I think it's a push, but it's possible.
yeah, I think I'd like to hope that, given it is the anniversary of the F-16, and with it with it going out of service with a lot of air arms in the next couple of years, I'd like to hope they're sort of going to use this RIAT as a bit of a one last hurrah for them. Just get at least 1 or 2 out the door. One, maybe hopefully 1 flying, 1 static from each of the air arms, and I think it would be a nice way to sort of round off 50 odd years of service across the world.
Absolutely. Would you? This is a question that I've seen talked about on some forums online. Would you? Because I know my stance on this. Would you rather take some of the F-16s out the static line and have like a big formation fly pass of F-16s from different countries, or would you bin off the fly pass and have them all on static?
That's a good question.
Because I know my stance on it, and I'll give you my reasons. Do not get me wrong, and this will cause some debate, and feel free to debate with us on social media with this. I think not having a fly pass would be better. Now. Now. Do not get me wrong. 6, 8 F-16s launching one after another from Fairford would be an insane sight. But I just feel that there is not enough F-16s to be able to go around. Like, prove me wrong, RIAT, please. Please say 30, 40 and end up turning up. But I just don't think there are enough F-16s to go around to have both a really good static line and then a really good fly pass. And I really hope I'm proven wrong. I really do.
I was leaning towards agreeing with you there. I was going to say I'd much rather have them all on the stack side, let us get up close to them and stuff. Because I think, as seen last year with the horrendous weather, if it's another washout year, you're going to have, say, half your F-16s parked on the north side of the airfield away from public view. And if they can't get up for a flypast, then you've lost half your static lineup. And I think I'd much rather see some really energetic, high energy displays from F-16s as opposed to just a flypast. Again, maybe a bit of an unpopular opinion, but there's something about seeing a fast jet being thrown around the sky right on the limit of the flying envelope as opposed to just through the air at 500 knots into a turn. And then I think, see, having multiple altogether is always going to be an impressive sight. But yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think having as many as possible on static would just be, I think, an incredibly cool sight to see.
Could you just imagine just imagine it in your head now, just walking up into green and just seeing 20 F-16 noses, just getting that photo shot.
I mean, I was thinking similar. I was thinking even just last year when we had the Harriers and the Phantoms were down in the green zone, weren't they?
Yes,
And that was cool enough just to see. What was it 3 or 4 jets parked relatively quite close together that were rare catches? But yeah, seeing that so many more. Hopefully, come on, RIAT, you can put out all the stops, please. Parked around the green zone. I think it would just be perfect. Really,
I'm hoping some nation, just pulls it out of the bag and brings like 4 or 5, so that the US have to go. Oh, for God's sake! You have to one up us now. We've got to send at least that many. Like, someone's got to, because if everyone brings 2, then the US have only got to bring 4 to be the big, the big. Yeah, look at us with the US. We can double all what you guys can bring. But if someone I don't know, there has been rumors. Like, I stress these are rumors that potentially we're going to get quite a few from different nations all around the world and stuff. But if like an air arm comes out and goes, I'm going to bring 4, the US that they go 6.
I think I'd read somewhere online, one of the online forums, that the Dutch were hoping to bring 3 or 4. Was it? Again, complete rumors here, but 4 Dutch F-16s. They are on their last legs in service. Some of them have done their last sorties already, so that would be amazing.
Well, September, isn't it, this year, isn't it? Around when they go. If they suddenly pull up and bring 4 as their last, then the US have got to then bring 4. You've got to match what other. Well, I say they've got to. They don't have to. It is the US. They could just say they've got operational commitments, but it's fingers crossed, because I think it's got so much potential. If they do it really well, it could end up being a RIAT to remember with the anniversary.
I think so too. I mean, calling it a Viper line, it gives us something to look forward to. So they've really got to pull it out, hopefully.
Absolutely. And we might as well move on to the next topic of all the RAF stuff that has been announced. RIAT has got basically everything bar the Tutor and the Falcons. And an F35B tactical demo. Hello, RAF. You been listening?
I think this is a really nice shift from the RAF, going from the standard RAF F35 takes off on Marham, flies on near enough minimum fuel, does a fast pass, does a hover, and then heads off back to Marham pretty much on zero fuel because that's the only way it can do its hover. So hopefully it means they'll be basing them out of Fairford as well. I think that would be quite nice than it flying in just for its 5-minute slot. Because I think not many, but when they've only got one base, it's not very common to see F-35s taking off and landing. I was lucky to see them this morning, but that's beside the point. But yeah, I think roll demo, that is really quite cool. And I think I can't remember if they mentioned what was sort of going to be included within it.
RIAT did. They did mention what was going to be in it, and so has um, other airshows that have got the demo as well. Currently on the demo, the F35B demo, only 3 airshows have so far confirmed that schedule. One being RIAT, one being Cosford, and the other one being the Duxford Battle of Britain Memorial flight. Battle of Britain Memorial flight, Battle of Britain Airshow. Sorry, get my word mixed up here. I'm thinking about other RAF assets at the same time in my head.
And ahead of yourself.
Which for Duxford, unquestionable brilliant catch. But I'll go back onto the point. It depends. It could be done really well, or it could be done really badly. If it's like the Tornado roll demo back in the day, where fine, they obviously had 2. I think, but it sounds like we're only getting 1. But if we get a bit of pyro in there, maybe get a few little explosions, or we get
harking back to the Apache demos of
yeah,
before, where they do the airfield runs and stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Something maybe along those lines. Look, again, we're hoping for much, and this can be sometimes the RAF and whatnot. But from RIAT, I think it was we're going to get high speed, low speed passes, high G minimum radius turns, opening of the weapon bay doors in a pass, and a hover.
It's not a lot, but it's more than what's been offered previously. And I think that shows the step in the right direction towards a more full-blown F-35B demo in the future. If they're already looking to bring in a roll demo, maybe display isn't too far away.
I mean, the only thing that we have to anything to compare off as of the moment is there's a single YouTube video on from RAF Coningsby's Family's Days last year. It's the only thing I can find anything whatsoever close to an RAF roll demo, and in that it performs quite a few different passes. So in that it takes off, and it comes back. It does a fast pass with burner on. It then comes back around and does another pass where it bleeds off all its speed. It goes into a slow landing. It lands, rolls halfway down the runway, and then takes off again on short takeoff. Flies back around, hovers, flies off again, and then comes back and does a high-speed pass into the vertical, and then it's gone, and then it comes back into land. Which, which they did that as a single show last year. If they can refine it a bit more, which is, again, we don't have the opening of the weapons bay pass in that, so you could add another pass in that. Are we going to get a vertical landing to end the show? Please, absolutely. Are they going to go land in the middle of the airfield, react with a hover? Oh, come on then, bring it on. Like, there's so many things they could do with it, and I just hope they know exactly what they're going to do, and it ends up actually being good. I don't know what your thoughts are on that sort of thing that I've just talked through from Coningsby, but it's better than what we've had before, and that's what we can take as a good thing, a good forward step.
No, I agree 100%. I think it's the big forward step thing, really. And I think anything new that we're getting from the RAF is well received. I think, given that obviously with the unfortunate demise of the Chinook display as it was last year, and going to a more roll demo type act, I think they've even announced where they're going to be displaying it.
No, we don't know yet.
But just anything is going to be better than nothing, and anything is better than just a fast pass and a hover.
Well, yeah. we've been told that with the Chinook, and we'll go on to that. We'll just slightly detour off point because it is a good point that the Chinook display team will not be an official display team this year, but for a limited number of events, which I assume would be something like Cosford and RIAT.
The big
Probably,
headline.
I'd like to think that Cosford most likely are going to get that. It's Cosford, right? So probably Cosford, and then maybe RIAT, and maybe one more. But I was having a discussion with Jack about this and a few others, that especially with how flat the Chinook display has come over the past few years, I actually might prefer this because if we go all the way back, we take our minds back to 2010. If some of you have been there, I wasn't, but I found some videos as I do in my spare time. The Chinook did a roll demo that year. They didn't have a display sequence, and they actually airlifted in a Jeep underneath. And then they landed it, and a Jeep drove out the back, and they had troops rappel down. That to me is different and actually quite cool. And I think for photographers as well, being able to see a Chinook with something slung underneath it, when are you really going to get that other than having to literally go and specifically to like Odium and see that?
That's really cool. I never knew that. I mean, I've only ever really been seeing the Chinook
Mm.
displays when it's been a display routine where they come in and do the whole roller coaster maneuvers and pushing it to the limit. So I think actually, yeah, a roll demo could be quite interesting, especially if they look back to those previous years and sort of provide some, I don't know how to word it, real world maneuvers, as in stuff that actually use in theatre, in training, like you say, with the underslung loads and troop transport, etc.
Even if it was just like landing on the runway and having a Jeep drive out and round and then back into the ramp or something, and it doesn't have, even if it's not something slung underneath, if it's something different, I don't mind different. I think, especially when you RIAT can potentially get quite repetitive with the same RAF stuff, this year we could have two interesting demos that are different, and if they do them right, which I know with the Chinook stuff, they've obviously got to have issues for them to have to drop down to a demo and not have a dedicated team. But if we could get something cool like that, I'm not going to complain. I think it could be something different to see and cool.
I mean, a real stab in the dark here for the Chinook roll demo, but how about if they go to Bournemouth, they do a tie-in with the Royal Marines
Oh,
and they drive a boat into the back? I've seen a video of that online, but I think that's a bit
you got a
too
far fetch there,
far-fetched, I
but
think.
yeah, it'd be cool. Don't get me wrong. If that's something like that happened at a seaside show, fair play to them. Fair play, absolutely. But no, I think
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
yeah,
Wishful thinking.
yeah. I think we could also move on to other of the RAF assets. We've got an RAF tutor display this year, which I'm pretty sure hasn't it meant to be the last year for the past 5 years for that. Um, we've got the Battle of the Beer and Memorial Flight are doing some shows as 5 ships, and we've obviously got the Typhoon back out with this, and we don't know what jet they're using yet. Who knows what's going to happen with that? I think I'll pop back to the Battle of the Beer and Memorial Flight. 5 ship. Brilliant. Cool. Yeah, different again from the RAF. It's going to be a different set of display stuff this year, which is cool.
I mean, one thing that obviously they don't necessarily announce which aircraft are doing which event for the BBMF due to serviceability and stuff. But I went and did the BBMF tour
Mm-hmm.
the other day, and speaking to one of the tour guides there, he was saying that the photo reconnaissance blue Griffin engine Spitfire is due back this year as well.
Is it?
That could
Okay,
be
so we
quite
could get
nice. One
a
that's been,
million and Griffin engines.
yeah, I think it's been one that's been off the circuit for a couple of years under maintenance.
Yeah.
So it was looking pretty complete as well. So
Fingers crossed. No, I think there's a 5 ship display going on at um, Cosford as well, and I'm pretty sure there's one other show that I cannot remember. Is it one of the seaside shows?
I think RIAT's got the 5 as well.
Yeah, RIAT's got the 5, Cosford's got the 5, and there's a sea. I'm pretty sure there's a seaside show, but I can't think. It might be Eastbourne or Southend, but I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure someone will be able to correct me and in any sort of comments section on any of our social media. But again, it's different stuff. I think we've got the Typhoon with Turbo, who's the new Typhoon pilot, who so far from what I've seen from the high level demos, it looks a very dynamic display.
Yeah, it looks really quite good. I think he's taken quite a bit from Brighty's display last year, which was a true crowd favourite. I think he's maybe just tweaked it maybe just enough to add his own little unique spin on it, which I think should make it a really interesting, dynamic display that should hopefully fit quite a few of the venues that it's scheduled to attend at.
Which we'll talk about venues in a minute. One of the maneuvers that really impressed me from what I've seen from the practice displays, obviously they're currently quite high up, is he barrel rolls into the slow pass.
Yeah.
Which is, I haven't seen that before. And that is like completely bleeds all your speed in a barrel roll, and then you're into low speed pass, which is like, whoa, that is cool. But I think for the RF Typhoon, we've got some really cool displays it's going to. We've got Shuttleworth, I think, have got the Typhoon on one of their days.
Yes.
Which is
the
an L-bend crowd line with the Typhoon. Hello, topside passes.
I'd love. I'm hoping to get to that one. It's the week after Sywell, so hopefully Red Arrows at Sywell the weekend before, Typhoon at Shuttleworth the week after. I think that'll do me just fine. Plus Shuttleworth is a lovely venue anyway.
It is, yeah, it's a really nice venue. I think Old Buckingham have also got the Typhoon for 4 consecutive airshow years. Again, brilliant. The RAF, the one thing I will definitely commend the RAF this year is their support for the shows in the UK this year has been immense. I mean, everyone is getting some form of RAF asset, no matter what. I think they've even what show is it? That's one of the Red Arrows are going to Eastbourne. Eastbourne is like right on the cusp of the Red Arrows going to Canada, and the Red Arrows are going to do the display on the Thursday of Eastbourne. Just one day, they're showing up for one day, but like they have pushed it to the limit and they've gone, yeah, no, we can do that. And it's in the holidays as well, so hopefully that brings more visitors. Instead of going to the Saturday, Sunday, we'll go, oh, do you know what? We'll go on the Thursday because we can see the Red Arrows. And that extends sort of like the breadth of the show over the 4 days that they have announced this year. Again, Blackpool have got a lot of stuff for the flying display from I think they've got the Typhoon, the Lancaster. I think they've got the Falcons as well. So again, brilliant support. Midlands have got the Red Arrows and BBMF on all days, I believe.
They've done well to get that.
I think they've got the Typhoon just on the Friday, which is fair enough, but great pulls by Midlands. I cannot commend the RAF enough with their support shows. I mean, look at the Battle of Britain show at Duxford. They've got the Typhoon, the F35B demo, Falcons, and Shooter. 4 assets for a show in September.
And they're only the ones that have only been announced. They could still, add on flypasts, etc. That have, if the Red Arrows say are going
The Red
on
Arrows
next
are in
summer.
Canada.
Of course they are, aren't they?
So we're going
Forgetting
to Red
that
Arrows,
Midlands
which
is a
is a
huge
shame.
chunk.
Yeah.
Midlands is a huge chunk of the summer their way. Also, Typhoon off to Canada too.
Yeah, Typhoon's off to Canada. Yeah, they're doing a show which is I think is a nice thing. We get the F-18, they get a Typhoon for a show. Brilliant. I love this interconnection with the different militaries and honestly, I've been singing praise, as you've probably seen if you are following any of our social medias, especially I run the Facebook, is that you would see my endless amounts of praise for whether that's on comment sections or in the post that we make for the RAF's support of all these shows. It is absolutely brilliant, and we are. I'm actually quite positive about this year and how it could go with all the RAF stuff, with the roll demo, all the different shows that they're supporting. This positivity keeps being piled on about this year. I just really hope the damn weather plays out well, because it could just be a year to remember for air shows.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I think we're due a bit of nice weather. We had the nasty weather for most of the last summer, so I think it's it's about time we had a decent summer, which is going to lead into hopefully some really good, solid displays by the RAF at what seems like pretty much most of the air shows around the UK with at least one asset.
Yeah, well, as long as it's not like 40 million degrees heat,
Yeah, there is a limit.
because
Yeah,
I cannot do another RIAT where, or like at Midlands or something where it's like 40 degrees heat and I'm having heat stroke by the time it gets to midday or something. I cannot do that again.
got to find a happy medium between 2022 RIAT and 2023 RIAT.
Yes, a happy medium of no rain but nice warm sunshines. I'm just going through the schedules now and see if there's anything else that is a good sort of catch for some of the other shows. I'm trying to look at Tymouth air shows. I'm pretty sure they got something from the RF. Did they get the red arrows? They did, yeah. The Tymouth have got the red arrows on the 6th of July. Which again, brilliant catch by Tymouth Airshare. I don't know if they've got the Typhoon. I'm just going to very go and quickly cross check this. It's been mega trailing. Yeah, they've got the Typhoon as well on the 6th.
That'd be another nice seaside display.
Yeah, it's been hard to keep up with all the RAF assets. As you can see on the day that most of them were announced, I was like posting here, there, and everywhere about what was going on and stuff. And yeah, it's been great that I can't keep up with stuff.
No, absolutely, 100%. What else? I think, sorry, go back to RIAT for 1 second. I think we forgot to mention the Danish Air Force also sending a Challenger, CL-604 Challenger aircraft. That looks quite smart as well. It's their maritime patrol aircraft. So
Yeah, it hasn't been in a couple of RIATs now. Not recently, anyway. It used to be quite a regular thing. If we look back in sort of the mid to late sort of teens of the of 2000s, but I don't know. It's gonna be good. And where are we gonna go next? Obviously, we've got all the RAF assets out the way, unless you're Cosford and they're going to announce all of the RAF assets over the next 5 weeks, because I don't know why, and it's quite frankly annoying because every other air show has gone within the first couple of days. Oh yes, fine, we'll just announce all our RAF assets, and they seem to be like dragging out every single week a new asset. Like this week, what we had BBMF. What's next week going to be? The Typhoon. Then we've got to probably have the Falcons at some point, and then the Tutor. Oh, just get them all out of the way, Cosford. Like realistically, they should be a single mass post of stuff. And I know I'm having to go at Cosford again, and sometimes I feel bad, but at the same time, I think, come on, you need to get the European asset in there. You need that big ticket seller. I know you're probably going to sell out with all the RAF stuff, but come on.
I've just been having a look at some of the Shuttleworth air shows. It seems they've also announced that which aircraft are going to be flying at each of the air shows. Obviously, being Shuttleworth, there's way too many to list off, but it seems a couple of standout items from the collection that are going to be flying this year includes the Anson, the Blériot, Boxkite, the Comet again, Gladiator, Sea Hurricane, their SE5A, the Lysander, and the Spitfire Mark V. So
Loads of cool stuff.
And that's just a few of the very many collection aircraft that are going to be flying at the air show. And that's none of the visiting ones either.
Absolutely. Brilliant cool catches. I think with what RIAT could announce with all the ongoing stuff, it's really interesting where we go next with some of their announcements. Luckily this year, we haven't had any leaks from the FreeAct forum, which has been and gone, so people have kept their mouth shut this year.
Makes a change.
Sorry. But also with every other show and where they're going to go now, I'm pretty sure we're toward the end now of most shows announcing their stuff, because most of the RAF assets have now been announced. So surely we're getting towards the end of announcements with the likes of Midlands. Obviously, Cywell have gone very quiet. And it's going to be interesting to see where we go, because I've just had struggle keeping up. It's been 3 weeks, so we've had so much to talk about. So hopefully we can get back to going every 2 weeks. But yeah, no, it's been very good. Looking forward to the upcoming airshow season and to many good different air shows.
100%. 100% indeed.
And I think that is where we will end today's podcast. We have rambled on about the RAF and RIAT and all the shows they're going to. There's loads of the shows if you guys want to go and see where any of the RAF assets are going to be. So like the Red Arrows, the Typhoon, the BBMF, it is all published on the RAF websites. So if you wanted to go have a look, go have a look on there. We've tried to keep up with posting as much of the different air shows as possible. I'm sorry if we have missed one of your favourite air shows. It's quite hard when you're working throughout the day and you suddenly come back and 50 air shows have announced something at the end of your shift. You're like, oh, I've now got to go and sift through it all. If you do want to try and keep up with stuff, we do keep post as much as we can on social media. We have an Instagram and a Facebook. Just search the Airshow Lounge and it should come up on any of your sort of favourite social media sites other than Twitter, because I'm not on there, or X or whatever it's called. We're not on there yet. Thank you very much for all the support recently. It's been brilliant. We're really enjoying doing this as much as we can't get many people on. I'm hoping the next one's going to be quite a few people back. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a really good next couple of weeks. See what we get from some of the other air shows. And I hope you all enjoy booking your tickets to some of the air shows that we've talked about today. And yeah, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.